It's Wednesday, September 22nd, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. $1 million in illegal drugs have been seized by authorities at the Bridgetown Port within the last month as a result of a high-tech security system. That's according to Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, Humphrey, who disclosed that the port's security system had been significantly bolstered. Humphrey was speaking in Parliament on Tuesday on the facilitation of International Maritime Traffic Bill 2021.
When we came into office, sir, there were 52 cameras in the Bridgetown Port. 52. Of those 52 cameras, sir, 22 were not working when we came into office. We currently now have, so 22 minus 52 is what, 30? We currently now have 88 views in the Bridgetown Port, sir. Currently. Phase 2, which is being implemented now, will see an additional 117 cameras being put in the Bridgetown Port, sir. So we are talking about where we had 30 cameras, we will have approximately 200 cameras in the Bridgetown Port. Tell me that we are not taking security seriously, sir. So with those 200 or most cameras, sir, in the Bridgetown Port, I can easily say to you, sir, that we will have probably the most advanced monitoring and tracking system utilizing artificial intelligence to produce the kind of analytics, sir, that would allow us to optimize security and general operations.
The minister also gave the assurance that the port would have the most sophisticated security system in the country by year end.
The scanner was able to pick up contraband in a tank. Before the new scanner that we bought, the port bought a scanner for $20 million. Since we came into office, that scanner was able to pick up the contraband in a tank, in a container, that previously we could not have picked up. That's one. Of course, when we held the guy who was up to his dastardly behavior, we were able then to find some additional things. But we also found drugs attached to the hull of a ship, sir. So that the port, using its technology, has been able to solve some of these things, sir. So by December 21, the port will have the most advanced CCTV system in the entire country. The most advanced CCTV system in the entire country. It is the use of these technologies, sir, operated by the port, which has been exposed to all kinds of training and specialized training, sir, that has resulted in the interdiction of about $1 million in contraband in the last month alone.
Meanwhile, Humphrey has promised that there will be a radical turnaround in Barbados's shipping industry.
Shipping was tied to tourism under international transport. And so a number of areas in shipping that should have been addressed were not addressed. And I have the privilege, sir, of having a small but very competent shipping unit, sir, with persons with extreme talent and knowledge in this area. And what we saw wasn't that we didn't have the talent here, sir, but that the former government, predominantly in the last few years, but other governments too as well, if I'm being honest, did not pay attention to shipping in the way that we should have paid attention to shipping. And as a consequence, sir, we found ourselves behind in areas that we really should not now be behind in. And so that is why over the next few weeks, months, years, you will see a radical turnaround, sir, in the legislation that governs our shipping industry. And I will speak to some of them shortly. You will see Barbados taking a stance internationally in shipping, being recognized as a shipping nation of worth and of value over the next few years.
Opposition leader Bishop Joseph Atherley has called on government to dismiss those who gave advice to allow cruise ships to berth offshore when the COVID-19 pandemic broke out last year. Speaking during debate on the facilitation of International Maritime Traffic Bill in Parliament on Tuesday, Bishop Atherley said that there is documented evidence to show that the presence of those vessels had led to millions of dollars in damage to coral reefs. Bishop Atherley based his comments on a report published in April by the University of the West Indies Center for Resource Management and Environmental Studies at Cayville, entitled Assessing Anchoring Impacts of Cruise Ships in Barbados during the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020.
Question is, what was the advice given to government? My conclusion, based on this report I have read, and in the absence of any further redress or public address of the matter by the government, my conclusion is that somebody should be gone, Mr. Speaker. When I say somebody should be gone, I am not gunning for the minister, I'm not pointing at the minister. I believe that governments act in these matters on the best advice available to them. And therefore, if they were advised in such a manner as to have felt that they had a green light to go ahead and take this policy decision, and it has turned out thus that this significant loss has been incurred by this country, both with respect to present as well as potential economic gains and potential economic gains not only in the immediate future, but in the far distant future as well.
Hundreds of Barbadians stand to benefit from job opportunities in the United Kingdom if government is able to convert the pilot farm labor program into a permanent undertaking next year. Emmanuel Joseph has more.
Christopher Griffith, the Barbados-born British-based independent consultant in charge of the UK farm labour programme, said on Tuesday that while 105 Barbadians found jobs during the 6-month season that started in March, he expects those numbers and earnings to double next year.
So if you look at the level of remittance, if you just even take £200 a week over 100 workers for the period of time that people were up here, and you do that calculation, you can see that we potentially would have remitted over $1 million Barbados dollars easily. I'm not even taking a correct figure, because I'm not taking the fellows who earn £500 a week or £600 a week. I'm taking just an average of £200 a week. We would have earned easily, and people send this money back to Barbados, over $1 million of Barbados currency back into Barbados every month.
And the Minister of Labour and Social Partnership Relations, Colin Jordan, said workers returning from the UK on the pilot programme are currently being debriefed by the Barbados Employment and Career Counselling Services so that a clear picture can be obtained of the working conditions in the UK. Minister Jordan also said the department is in the final stages of determining the structure of the programme and the people government will need on the ground as it seeks to transition from the pilot programme to a permanent one. Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional developments now, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security says it will investigate reports of alleged abuse of Haitian migrants at the Texas border. More in this CBS News report.
The Department of Homeland Security is now investigating this incident where Border Patrol agents on horseback are seen intimidating Haitian migrants at the southern border.
I was horrified to see the images, and we look forward to learning the facts, but we do not tolerate any mistreatment or abuse of a migrant, period.
The flashpoint, this makeshift camp in Del Rio, Texas. Between a mass deportation effort and Haitians fleeing back to Mexico, fewer than 10,000 migrants now remain at the camp. To escape deportation, some were forced to cross the Chest-High River holding their children above their heads. Even though this stretch of the Rio Grande is shallower, it is still dangerous. And here you have at least one family crossing with 2 small children trying to get back to the U.S. for processing. But on the other side of the border, Mexico is also cracking down. Authorities took this man and child into custody. Here, a migrant is kicked in the head by Mexican immigration agents. And more migrants may be on the way. As many as 20,000, many of them Haitian, remain bottlenecked in Colombia, potentially awaiting their chance to continue their journey to the U.S.
Work-related diseases and injuries were responsible for the deaths of 1.9 million people in 2016. That's according to the World Health Organization and the International Labour Organization's first joint estimates of the work-related burden of disease and injury 2000 to 2016 Global Monitoring Report. The study said the majority of work-related deaths were due to respiratory and cardiovascular disease, with non-communicable diseases accounting for 81%. Harry's Dr. Maria Neira, the director of the Department of Environment, Climate Change and Health at the WHO.
The occupational risk factors has caused almost 2 million deaths globally in 2016. This is a terrible figure because, as mentioned already, many of those deaths could be prevented. If we go to the detail now in these 2 million deaths, we can tell you that 80% of those work-related deaths are caused by diseases, means all of those diseases being non-communicable diseases. Almost 2/3 of those deaths are due to 3 pairs of occupational risk factors and health outcome. One, they were caused by occupational exposure to air pollution, resulting in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. That was responsible for 450,000 deaths. Exposure to long working hours and stroke was responsible for 400,000 deaths. And exposure to long working hours causing ischemic heart disease was responsible for 346,000 deaths. Therefore, the single largest risk factor is exposure to long working hours. This is a fundamental change in what we are finding in these new estimates.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.